And we're live. Guys, fantasy football, NFL, DFS, Saturday, 2-game slate. We got my Packers hosting the Panthers. We got Buffalo taking on Denver. Two teams with Super Bowl aspirations and two teams with let's go into the offseason aspirations.
No doubt about it. One video. Just going to do one for the public, members only, and public video kind of put together in one.
Yeah, when we got these 2-game slates like this, there's not a lot to talk about, especially one like this where there's some pretty good plays and some less than stellar ones that should kind of break out evenly. Never hesitate to click that thumbs up button, though. And just to reiterate to everybody, if you're looking for some Saturday action, head on over to the Overlay DFS matchup shop where there's going to be plenty of things to choose from right there. Also, the lifetime memberships are still on sale, 25% off. Guys, you worked hard all year. Take your hard-earned money and buy yourself a Christmas present.
Amen, man.
And I do want to give a special shout-out. We got a customer named Ryan Monks. It's kind of an off-topic point, though. Just sent over another tip this morning. He's done that multiple times already this year. Just kind of said, I know this has been a rough year for DFS guys like you guys. Just here, use it to buy your kids some Christmas presents or whatever it might be. This time of the year, if you have the ability to give to people less fortunate, I'm not just talking about us specifically, just whatever it is. There's a lot of American families out there and worldwide struggling right now. If you have the opportunity to give, never hesitate, because for those people who maybe 2020 didn't affect them financially as much, there are millions and tens of millions of American families out there in disarray this year. So if you have the ability, never hesitate to do so.
I always try to help out people in need whenever I can. So it's a great point to make.
I wish I could help. This year I can't. It's been a rough year for us. It's been a rough year for a lot of you guys. So keep your chin up. If it's been a rough year, hopefully things will turn around soon.
No doubt about it.
All right, so let's talk about the quarterback position. We got 4 guys at our disposal, unless you want to get super weird with it, which I would not recommend. I ran a Twitter poll this morning just to kind of see if it kind of piggybacked off of what my initial thoughts were, that the cheap guys would get relatively overlooked and that the 2 studs would each get most of the ownership. I got Rodgers coming in at about a 2-to-1 on ownership. I don't know if it's going to be that much of a discrepancy, but hosting Carolina versus being on the road in Denver, for 2 guys, it basically averaged the same point total. I guess not ownership, not thought about it. I guess I would give the slight nod to Aaron Rodgers over Josh Allen.
Yeah, if I were playing one of these guys in a year-long league, it'd be Aaron Rodgers.
You feel safer with him at home. Also, while I don't always believe in stuff like this, I mean, I know you love the Pat McAfee show. The MVP does mean something to Aaron Rodgers. Only a few people got 3 of them. He's right there with Mahomes as the guy right now. So where that matters to me is if this game gets lopsided with Carolina just not really having a lot to play for right here. And let's say the score is 30-10 in the third quarter, and some teams might take their foot off the gas. I wouldn't be shocked to see Rodgers, sling one more into the end zone just to bump up those stats.
I get it, man. I think it makes a lot of sense to think like that.
Right. Now, here's a question for you. Are you leaning towards playing Josh Allen in GPPs at all, thinking that there might be a discrepancy in ownership?
I don't love this slate, so this is my first time really diving in with you right now. So I don't want to say yes or no to that question. Sounds appealing. I think I'd be. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's hard to use Lock or Bridgewater here, in my opinion.
I agree. So then I'm bringing you to the next question: Lock or Bridgewater if you had to pay down?
Bridgewater. I have more confidence in him as a quarterback. I have more confidence in their offense. I think that if you're looking for upside, it's Lock, who, they just played last week and Lock was good. I feel better about Bridgewater, but I think Lock is more upside.
Okay. I won't argue any of those points. Bridgewater ran one in last week, which, either him or Drew Lock are kind of – I know Bridgewater's got a few rushing touchdowns this year, but they're about an even playing field right there. Bridgewater had the monster game against KC. But all in all, I don't love either of them. And I think the opportunity cost of using either of them is great. And what I mean by that is Aaron Rodgers at high ownership could easily walk into 30 points in this spot. And if Locke has 16 and Bridgewater has 18, I know that you're getting some extra salary right here, but that's a big loss in points at the quarterback position.
For sure. I'm with that. Yeah, I also just feel like, man, these games, if they were on the main slate on Sunday, I don't think I'd be using too much of them. I get Green Bay. Green Bay is a spot I could see using. But other than that, I don't know. Not too interested in any of these offenses. So I am with you. The only quarterback on this slate that gives you the warm and fuzzies is Rodgers. And then Allen's, so good with his legs and averages more DK points than Rodgers. So you never feel bad using him.
Oh, Josh Allen's having a really, really nice season. Kudos to him. He took a big bump up the last couple of years. He's putting in the work. I think for you, and a point that I know you like to make, I don't love playing guys at Denver. Mile high. Again, they lost their best corner. They obviously not as healthy as they could be. They're not the defense they have been in years past, but they're not terrible. So given the opportunity, give me Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay against the Panthers defense that's, leaves plenty to be desired. And I just think it's the safer way to go.
Yeah, same. 100% with you.
All right. I do not love the running back position right here. And I do think that if you were to pivot off of Aaron Rodgers to a Josh Allen or a cheaper quarterback, I think in that scenario, you have to play Jamal Williams or Aaron Jones because you're assuming that Rodgers maybe isn't great, which means they probably run some touchdowns in. And without a lot of great running backs right here, if I'm not using Rodgers, I definitely want some Green Bay run game exposure because they're going to score some points.
Yeah, I think Jones is probably a lock for me regardless. He's by far the best running back on this slate. Buffalo can't really run the ball as the other favorite. The other two teams are underdogs. My favorite running backs are both Jones and Davis.
Yeah, which tells you a lot about how weak the running back position is because you're right. Buffalo doesn't run it effectively. A lot of their goal line carries go to their quarterback. Neither of these guys even sniff averaging 10 points a game. I mean, Zach Moss has 4 double-digit performances on the year, and 3 of those were 13 or less. Devin Singletary, who I like how he runs the ball, just is not overly productive from a fantasy perspective. He had a couple of okay games early in the year when Zach Moss weren't out, but they leave a lot to be desired. It's not crazy to think Jamal Williams outscores both of them.
No, not even close to crazy.
Well, here's one for you, though. Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay are both listed as questionable. If one of those guys are out, I definitely want the other one.
I agree. And if they're both out, give me Royce Freeman.
Oh, yeah. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. No questions about it. Terrell Davis ain't coming out of retirement to play in this game. So those are their 3 running backs. I think you pay attention to this one. And as the early game, the nice part is you're going to know about this one.
Yeah, and I do like Mike Davis. I mean, listen, it's probably not a great game script for him, but I don't think this game is just like a blowout. And he's productive even in games they're losing because he gets a lot of targets. I think he's close to a must for me here.
I wouldn't go as far as saying close to a must for my personal opinion, but on a slate like this where I don't love the running back position, if Denver's got everybody active, I'll probably just do the same thing, though, and go with Aaron Jones and Mike Davis. I think Mike Davis will be hella popular on this one because the running back options are pretty futile. He did hit pay dirt last week, which is encouraging. If you want to fade him, though, I think I'm more on board that than you are, which is unusual. But it's only because we definitely saw him come back to earth for the 2 months prior to last game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that you can fade him. I guess he in himself isn't a must for me, but I don't want to play any other running back. I guess the only other thing I could see myself doing is playing Jones and Williams. But, if I were making a lineup right now, Davis would be in it. That's as far as I'll go.
So that was actually the next point I wanted to bring up, and I'll call this one almost the Bellman special. And what I mean by that is Rodgers, I was guessing he'd be more popular than Allen. My poll backs me up. Doesn't mean that that's accurate. It's just kind of was already the gut feeling I was going with. Playing a Josh Allen or a Drew Lock or a Teddy Bridgewater and then doubling up on the Green Bay running backs, because it's not impossible to think that as much as Aaron Rodgers is making a push for MVP, Aaron Jones breaks a big run, runs another one in there from the 11-yard line later in the game, and then they pound Jamal Williams pretty hard as they kind of, maybe get up a couple scores in this one. I don't think Carolina's going to be pathetic, but they have nothing to play for at this point. Maybe they just don't bring it this week or whatever the situation might be. And then you fade Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams and play the two running backs together.
Yeah, definitely. It's another, 2-game slate showdown. Slate's tell yourselves a story. That's not the story I'm going to tell myself, but it's not a crazy story at all.
No, because there aren't a lot of stories to tell on this slate either, right? There's only so many ways that you can really try to be different. It's probably not the story I'm telling myself either, so I'm with you on that. But if you're looking for an alternative story, the number of lineups with both Green Bay running backs is what, 2%, 3% maybe?
I'm not sure, but it's probably something like that.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's 5%, it's not going to be on the high end of things.
Agreed.
Okay. All right, let's move over to the wide receiver position. So we got two really, really good wide receivers in this game, Devontae Adams and Stephon Diggs. The problem, and one of the reasons I can see skipping Mike Davis for me was if you want Stephon Diggs and Devontae Adams, going down to a Buffalo guy or a Jamal Williams or a Denver guy allows you much easier time getting both of those fellers.
I have no arguments there. I mean, it's definitely hard not to play both those guys on this slate. I mean, the drop off after them is big.
It is big. And we like DJ Moore. He's had some moments this year. We don't mind Robbie Anderson, but the Green Bay pass defense is pretty darn good. And Devontae Adams and Stephon Diggs are just, I mean, these are two of the better wide receivers in the league. I don't really think I need to click on Adams' game log for most of you guys to know just how fantastic he's been all season long. Basically catches a touchdown every game where they actually score points and it doesn't leave hurt. He's awesome. The risk of not playing him is big.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Now, it doesn't mean that like a guy like Moore or Anderson couldn't be the highest scoring guy on the slate. Just the drop off on paper is real.
Yeah. And Diggs has been nothing short of sensational this year for Buffalo. The only thing he doesn't have is the regularity of reaching pay dirt the way a Devontae Adams or like an Adam Thielen does. But he has been nothing short of sensational from Buffalo. I want to say double digits in every single game this year. There is a lot to be said about that floor. Denver is without their number one cornerback by my best memory. He is Josh Allen's, comfort right here. And, you already brought up the point. They can't run the ball. Diggs has double-digit targets virtually every week that he goes out there. He's only dropped below 8 targets twice all year.
This is true, man. I mean, it's I feel like if you had to pick one, it's Adams. But people are going to jam both in. It's just what it is.
And I agree with that, and I probably want to do that. As far as the other wide receivers on the slate.
If you could play 2 of 3 between Diggs, Adams, and Rodgers, who would it be?
Well, I'd play Adams and Diggs and then play Josh Allen.
Okay, that's fair.
I think the drop off from Rodgers to Allen isn't as big as it is from like Diggs to Anderson.
I agree.
So all that being said, DJ Moore had some COVID issues, ankle issues, missed last week. I mean, he's a very talented receiver. I don't love the matchup for him. Green Bay is actually pretty good against the pass, but this dude only needs one play. I mean, he's a 60-yard touchdown waiting to happen.
Yeah, exactly. So, and he's very affordable for what his upside is. We know that.
Yes. The problem with Carolina every week is they got 3 wide receivers all averaging within 2 points of one another, and they're all pretty good. I like Samuel. I like Anderson. I like Moore. You can't play all 3 of them. At least, I mean, I guess you could, but you probably don't want to. And picking one of them is always very, very difficult to do.
No doubt about that.
So I got one for you, and I know this guy did you dirty the other week when you tried to choose between him and somebody else. Tim Patrick is kind of a focal point of the red zone for the Denver Broncos. He's got 6 touchdowns this year. He's hit pay dirt a bunch lately. He's got double digits in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the last 9 games he's played, because I don't count the New Orleans game because they played with a practice squad wide receiver.
Yeah, he did me real dirty. I chose Judy over him. But yeah, at this point right now, I would play him over Judy, which could backfire, on this slate. I'm not really, I don't know. Maybe I'm sleeping on Denver here. I think they kind of struggle in this spot.
Buffalo's defense has looked better the last couple of weeks, if you're looking for something like that. I mean, again, I don't love any of the Denver wide receivers. They're all very, very cheap. Tim Patrick at 4,300, Jerry Jeudy at 3,900, KJ Hamler at 3,500.
Hamler's my favorite. I know that he scored twice last week. That's not even why. He's just got the highest upside. He's fast. I don't know. Jeudy and Locke don't look like they don't have great rapport. And again, watch him go off tomorrow. But besides that one game against Atlanta, he has not had many great games.
Yeah, I'm not looking to lock in Jerry Jeudy right here. I like the guy. I agree with what you're saying about the lack of rapport with Drew Lock. If I were to play one guy, it'd be Tim Patrick. You seem like you're sitting on KJ Hamler. There is no right or wrong answer this early in the week. We can't answer that one until after the game. But they're all very, very cheap. And I think we do agree Denver's going to have to throw it.
Yeah, Denver's going to have to throw here. I agree. So these guys aren't out of play.
I will make this bold statement. I do think one of the Denver wide receivers is going to have a good day, and a lot of it's going to come in the fourth quarter in junk time.
Okay, I can't argue that. I have no idea which one it is, but there's no argument there at all.
All right. Green Bay's got a couple of cheap wide receivers as well, in Valdez-Scantling and Allen Lazard. And from a real life perspective, I like Allen Lazard. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, he makes some big catches and some deep plays. I know Aaron's very much wants to get his confidence rolling. He has 4 games of over 19 plus this year. It is hard to be a fan of his because he's a walking nightmare. But he has scored 4 times over the past 6 weeks.
Sorry, wrong pipe. Give me a second. Swallowed something down the wrong pipe. Give me a second.
Yeah, no problem. And I watch every play of Green Bay. And again, I like Allen Lazard a lot better as a player. I love what he brings to the team. But outside of the game against New Orleans, he doesn't win you a lot in the way of slates. Marquez Valdez-Scantling has got 4 pretty big games this year. And if you're playing GPPs, I don't think Valdez-Scantling gets a buttload of love.
I agree, especially if you're fading Adams. I have big time interest in both those guys.
Or Jones.
Yeah, agreed. You could play all the receivers for sure.
Adams, Rodgers, Aaron Jones are going to get a ton of love. And those are the best plays. But it doesn't mean Jamal Williams, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and Bob Tonyan don't score all the points.
And there's a world where all those guys eat more than anyone else on the slate. There's a world in which Green Bay scores 30-some points, and all the other offenses struggle.
There's a world where Green Bay scores 40 points.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I'm with you.
So, I think Devontae is going to be what? 90% owned in cash games and 70 in GPPs?
Something like that.
Okay. He needs to go off to hit good value on that price tag. And while I want him on my roster, the idea of playing Aaron Jones, Valdez-Scantling, and Bob Tonyan and fading him, it's not insane.
The only thing I'll say about that is it's not a main slate, right? So if Devontae Adams goes 7 for 90 and a touchdown, that's not GPP value at this price. But he might very well be the best wide receiver, overall point scorer besides quarterbacks on this slate. You know what I mean? So you're going to need that.
But if Mike Davis has a good day and you need
you're
money,
right.
And then Stephon Diggs has a good day.
There's also worlds where fading him works out because every player is fadeable in the right scenario.
Definitely. I will not. And if I'm playing the cash games, Devontae Adams is probably the first name I'm putting in. But I don't know. Wilder things have happened. And there could be a scenario where, again, Big Bob Tonyan catches 2 touchdowns and Adams goes for 6 and 95. And that's still a nice day for a wide receiver, but just doesn't have to go beast mode.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. I'm with that.
I do think we agree on this, though. The Green Bay offense is the easiest one to go after right here, without question.
That's by far the best offense on the slate.
Yeah, Buffalo's got a good offense, but at Denver, I just trust Green Bay at home more than I do, Buffalo at Denver.
The thing that is interesting, though, is Allen is a guy, I don't know. I think you could potentially run Allen and a couple of the Green Bay receivers to get different because Allen's a guy that runs in touchdowns.
It's possible. Josh Allen, you already said it. He averages more points than Aaron Rodgers. Now, it's as minimal could be, but why couldn't Josh Allen run in 2 touchdowns?
Exactly. So, yeah, all these guys are in play for sure.
Yeah, Gabriel Davis, has scored 3 games in a row for Buffalo. I think he's a very, very fine play at 4K.
I couldn't agree more.
I like the kid.
With no John Brown, he's like their number 3 wideout.
Yes, he is. He runs a lot on the outside for bigger plays as Cole Beasley eats up the slot. And Cole Beasley is also a fine play at 4,700.
I do feel like this game is not a non-high scoring game.
Okay. I know you don't like offenses typically in Denver. Is that a big part of it?
I mean, I just don't like them. Maybe I wasn't thinking about that, but potentially, yeah. Denver's offense doesn't do much for me. Buffalo's offense is pretty good, but I don't like teams going to Denver. So I think this game kind of plays slower. It's just my opinion.
Yeah, you don't want to hurry up in Denver because of the altitude and everything like that. So it's not a game where you try to go your fastest, full go. You usually want to give your guys a little bit of a break between plays and things like that. So that could play into that factor. And again, I don't normally read into that stuff, but the Aaron Rodgers MVP push is real to me.
I could see Carolina losing, but being more fantasy relevant than Buffalo in a win.
Yeah, I won't argue that point. I can see that.
It's not definite. You know what I mean? I don't think it's guaranteed at all, but I could see stacking a lot of the first game.
For the tight end position, I think there's a clear-cut number 1 guy, and it's Bob Tonyan. I don't love any of the other tight ends at all.
I mean, I don't even love him, but he's definitely the guy at 4,500.
Interesting stat on Bob Tonyan, who's also scored 4 games in a row. He has more and he has double digits in 8 games this year. He has more touchdown catches this year than he does incompletions on passes intended for him.
That's incredible.
He's got a very good hookup with Aaron Rodgers.
It reminds me of the Kawhi Leonard stat.
That he has more steals and turnovers or personal fouls.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a rare stat to read off. I mean, when Rodgers looks for him, he's open a lot. His targets this year, he's only missed 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only 6 pass attempts for him this year have not connected.
I'm with you. He's definitely the number 1 guy here.
Yeah. Green Bay is going to score. And you can't focus on Bob Tonyan because the running game is good and Devontae Adams, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, as many mistakes as he makes as a deep threat. Devontae Adams is always the focal point. I mean, just an easy spot for him to succeed.
For sure.
Who would be your second tight end?
I mean, Fant, even though he's been less than spectacular, I think the drop off after him is pretty real. Not to say that none of the other guys could outscore him, but it's pretty clear those are the top 2, even with Tonyan being a top 1, and any other guy is like a GPP dart throw that could get 0.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. And if you're looking for one more reason to like Bob Tonyan, Sternberger, their other pass-catching tight end, is out.
Yeah, so that definitely doesn't hurt him.
If you're trying to get super lucky, they love to try to get Mercedes Lewis in there, but he's got 9 catches all year for a reason.
This is one where if you wanted Adams, Diggs, Rodgers, Jones, you know what I mean? I could see that. It's also leverage off of Tonyan. I would never do it in a cash game, but yeah, he's 2,500. Even if he got 0, if your studs blow up, you'll be fine.
I know we talked about the Rodgers interview from Pat McAfee the other week. They love getting Mercedes Lewis in the end zone. The whole team is happy to get him to score because he does all the dirty work, like a fullback type of scenario.
They just love him. And I will say, I brought this up on other slates. If let's say he doesn't do good, but it's not crazy to think that no tight end on this slate does good. If Tonyan has 4 catches for 50 yards, no one's surprised at all. You know what I mean? So if you use Lewis there, and even if he doesn't do anything, you're saving a lot of money. You know what I mean?
I'll take it one step even further. Tonyan almost needs to score to be overly effective. He got the 1 game against Atlanta where he scored 3 times. That's the outlier. But outside of that, he's only gone over 67 yards once all year. So if he just doesn't score, then exactly, he's not going to break the slate.
You don't even need Mercedes to do anything. But let's say, what if Mercedes takes the touchdown and they finish with the same amount of DK points? We talk about one spot being different. That's it.
Look, I'm not entering this contest that I pulled up right now, but this is the Millionaire Maker. And if you're trying to get crazy with it, there you go. As far as the defenses go on this slate, I don't really like any of them. The one that's out of play for me is the Panthers, just because Green Bay doesn't really turn it over. They also don't get sacked almost ever. Other than that, though, I'm not really a big fan of any of them.
No, I mean, I could get on board with any D, even the Panthers, because they're so cheap, hoping for all the Ds to not do anything. Maybe you get a kick return like you did against Jacksonville. Again, I'm only talking GPPs. It's not like I like the Panthers D. They'd be the last D I'd want to play, but they're also the cheapest. If I had to choose right now, it'd probably be Buffalo.
I'm with you on that one. They have played better lately. I do think Drew Lock is turnover prone.
Yeah, you think?
Well, yes, I do. Yes, I do. So I'm with you. As much as I'd like to say Green Bay's defense is in a great spot, I don't know. Bridgewater's not a guy that throws 80 picks every game, and the Packers' defense leaves plenty to be desired. They have been getting after the quarterbacks decently the last couple of games, but it was Mitch Trubisky down 4 touchdowns, Carson Wentz and the Eagles, and, well, I mean, you guys know that story. And then Detroit playing from behind. So, yes, they've had some decent games lately, but I slightly prefer Buffalo.
Teddy Bridgewater's not a guy like I'm excited to go after on a defense. You know what I mean?
No, man, like 8 picks all year.
Yeah. I'm with Buffalo for sure.
Okay. So if we're making like what we would consider an optimal lineup, I think we start with Bob Tonyan. We'll go with the Bills because I also think that $500 helps.
Yeah, for sure.
And let's just play around with Aaron Jones, Mike Davis, Adams, and Diggs. Can it be done? No.
Nope.
Can't be.
So I guess I see why Davis is the guy you'd want to take out.
Yeah, and again, I don't love taking out Mike Davis, but also the flip side of taking out one of the big wide receivers, the options at the secondary wide receivers are better than the options at the secondary running backs.
The other thing is, like, take out Davis here. It's not like you're going to be able to get whoever you want.
No, not at all.
I mean, you're still like the running backs are 4K plus.
And let's say Melvin Gordon's out. You play a cheap Buffalo guy, you're still not really getting a good lineup.
That's what I'm saying, like, at all.
Well, this goes back to our discussion about fading Devontae Adams. But the more I think about it, what about fading Aaron Jones?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that if you're going heavy with the passing game, it's got to be in play. We've talked about him a bunch.
I love Aaron Jones' game, but they are saving him for later in the season. And let's just say, and again, I know you can't just do that, but take out the 77-yard touchdown against Philadelphia, and this guy has not gone over, I mean, he's basically 15 points or less every week.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, he's definitely a boomer bust guy.
I don't hate the idea of going with Jamal Williams right here, who, I don't know, it's not as good, but there's a lot of cap savings right there. And a lot of that could change if you get like a Denver guy. Like if all of a sudden Melvin Gordon's out, you can go Phillip Lindsay. Well, there's not a big cap savings between Mike Davis and Aaron Jones.
No, there's not. I mean,
and that's why I think Davis is more fadeable.
What about fading both?
That's definitely in play. Like, let's just say you have one of the Denver guys. Let's just go with Zach Moss. You can go grab like a Tim Patrick. And now your flex spot, you can grab Valdez-Scantling or Lazard or whatever it might be, Gabriel Davis.
For sure.
This also goes back to our conversation about playing Mercedes Lewis over Robert Tonyan, for example.
Yeah, it helps a lot. I mean, 2K is big.
The other flip side of this is, as much as I love Aaron Rodgers, let's just say this is what happens if you go with a Drew Lock or a Teddy Bridgewater.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, well, I still can't get here.
You can go down from Patrick, though.
If I'm playing Bridgewater, I maybe don't like Mike Davis as much anyway.
Yeah, truth.
Just say Philip Lindsay. That's again, Tim Patrick and Valdez-Scantling, Tim Patrick and Davis, Davis and Scantling, whatever it might be. Cole Beasley could fit into here with Gabriel Davis. Although I don't want 3 Buffalo wide receivers.
Neither do I.
And especially not if I'm not playing Josh Allen.
Truth.
So, man, like, I love Devontae, but the more we talk it over, like, a lot of flexibility by not playing him. I think it's probably a very risky move, but that is a big salary to eat.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. Like, huge salary to eat.
Like, I think if I was trying to mess around in GPPs and get a little bit different, I think the idea of going hard on Valdez-Scantling or Lazard and Tanyan over him is real.
I'm with you, man.
But that being said, guys.
I mean, I also feel the same about Diggs and using Beasley and Gabriel.
Sure. I love Stephon Diggs, but, he's got, as much as he's a target monster, this guy's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of his past 8 weeks are under 20 points.
This is so true, man.
In Denver, not a place you expect great offense. Maybe fade Diggs instead of Adams.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So let's just take Diggs out of this for 1 second, then we can probably wrap this video up. Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Mike Davis. Let's make life difficult. We go with Devonta Adams right here, Bob Tonyan and the Bills. We go down to the wide receiver position. This is where I think you almost got to go with like the KJ Hamler pick.
Yeah, for sure.
Gabriel Davis, because I'm not playing Diggs.
Yeah, 100%.
Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant. Ugh. I don't know. That gets way better if you can get even Melvin Gordon if Philip Lindsay were to be out. Because now I get like a DJ Moore, and we actually like DJ Moore or Cole Beasley right there.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you guys know I don't like to play terrible defenses and try to get lucky with them, but I don't know. I don't expect great games with the Broncos or Packers or Bills. If you want to play the Broncos or something like that, it's only a few points. Like, this could actually help this week.
That's what I'm saying. That's kind of why I mentioned it earlier. Like, they're obviously not in great spots. All of a sudden, if you get like that tip pass or that punt return touchdown, it could definitely help this week. Because it's like you said, like, it's not a main slate where you're playing that D. You're only playing against 3 other Ds. It's easy that for none of them to do anything. Like, because points allowed, like, doesn't really do much to a D unless they're giving up like 40 some points. You know what I mean?
Like, think about it this way. If you're looking at the Broncos against the Bills, like, if I had to make projections, I would project the Bills for like 7 points and the Broncos for like 3. Okay, well, 600 is not a lot of points, money to spend for 4 points. But what if it gets you to the position where you got Cole Beasley versus Alan Lazard, and you think Beasley's going to have 15 and Lazard's good for 8? Well, then now you're plus 3.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I don't know. Make your rationales on you want it. All of the Panthers receivers are in play, but they don't really seem to fit any of the builds unless you switch it up a little bit. I don't really have a pecking order of who I like the best. Probably DJ Moore.
Yeah, probably DJ Moore, but then the other 2 are definitely fine.
Okay. I think that about covers what we got going on. I know John Brown. Yeah, I didn't think so. I just wanted to make sure. I know he was getting closer, though.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Good luck this week.
Thanks, guys.